Matthew has always told us what the future is holding. From Matthew 24:3 through 36, Jesus afterwards sat on the Olive Mount. His followers approached him in secret and stated, "Tell us, when will all of this occur? What sign will signal your return and the end of the world?" Jesus told them, "Don't let anyone mislead you. Many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah. They will deceive many, and you will hear of wars and threats of wars. But don't panic. Yes, these things must take place, but the end won't follow immediately. Nation will go to war against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in many parts of the world, but all this is only the first of the birth pains, with more to come. Then you will be arrested, persecuted, and killed. You will be hated all over the world because you are my followers, and many will turn away from me and betray and hate each other, and many false prophets will appear and deceive many people. Sin will be rampant everywhere, and the love of many will grow cold. But the one who endures to the end will be saved, and the good news of the kingdom will be preached throughout the whole world, so that all nations will hear it, and then the end will come. The day is coming when you will see what Daniel, the prophet, spoke about, the sacrilegious object that causes desecration, standing in the holy place. Then those in Judea must flee to the hills. A person out on the deck of a roof must not go down into the house to pack. A person out in the field must not return even to get a coat. How terrible it will be for pregnant women and nursing mothers in those days. And pray that your flight will not be in the winter or on the Sabbath. For there will be greater anguish than at any time since the world began, and it will never be so great again. Unless the time of calamity is shortened, not a single person will survive, but it will be shortened for the sake of God's chosen ones. Then if anyone tells you to, "Look, here is the Messiah," don't believe it. False messiahs and false prophets will rise and perform great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even God's chosen ones. See, I have warned you about this ahead of time. So if someone tells you to look, the Messiah is out in the desert, don't bother to go and look, or say that, "Look, he is hiding here." Don't believe it. For the lightning flashes in the east and shines to the west. So it will be when the Son of Man comes, just as a gathering of vultures shows. There is a carcass nearby. So these signs indicate that the end is near. Immediately after the anguish of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will give no light, the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken. And then, at last, the sign that the Son of Man is coming will appear in the heavens, and there will be deep mourning among all the peoples of the earth. And they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send out his angels with the mighty blast of a trumpet, and they will gather his chosen ones from all over the world, from the farthest ends of the earth and heaven. Now learn a lesson from the fig tree when its branches bud and its leaves begin to sprout. You know that summer is near. In the same way, when you see all these things, you can know his return is very near, right at the door. I tell you the truth, this generation will not pass from the scene until all things take place. Heaven and earth will disappear, but my words will never disappear. Nobody, not even the angels in heaven or the Son himself, is aware of the exact day or time that these events will take place. Only the Father is aware. He provided some clear indications of his approach in that passage. So what do these indicators that he handed us mean? In between, I would request you like and subscribe to our channel for content like this. The first is without a doubt natural disasters of all kinds, such as wars, famines, and earthquakes. These are undoubtedly taking place, but they have been for more than 1,000 years. They are becoming more violent. Thus, we are undoubtedly at this initial phase. Already, starvation, earthquakes, and wars have been rumored. Jesus warns against being duped. He repeats that throughout the entire conversation. He claims that these false messiahs and Christ will exploit the chaos caused by natural calamities to pose as the world's saviors in this instance. There are numerous well-known instances of individuals who lead victims into hostile environments while posing as saviors, only to suffer tragic outcomes. However, there are numerous false saviors in Christ who make the promise of being the one to deliver us from all of our problems. As Jesus warns us, we should not panic or worry when we hear of a new war, tragedy, or famine coming out. The more issues there are, the more false deliverers there will be. He made a startling statement. These unfortunate occurrences hurt, but they are not the last breaths. They are labor pangs. So when you read about calamities in the news, know that these are the birth pains of something new. This should completely change our attitude. We know what the world is coming to. We should not be alarmed or dismayed, not as worried as the world will be about these things. Disasters in the world are the pain of birth in a new world that is to be born. Therefore, we are very different. We have sympathy for those who are suffering disasters, and hopefully, we express it in help. But in our hearts, we are not alarmed. We are hopeful. We are looking for a new birth of a new world, and therefore we are not dismayed or depressed by all the problems in the world. In short, Jesus advises us not to panic, not to be disturbed, but even to rejoice and say, "These are all signs of something new happening." Another indication of his arrival is found in the church, not in the wider community. The first sign of his coming is a disaster in the world, and the second sign is the church, not the world. Global calamities are the first red flag. Similar to how he broke down the first warning into 3 categories: wars, earthquakes, and famines. The second is the changes within the church. He breaks down the second indication into 3 elements, all of which take place inside a church. The first is persecution, that every country will despise us. The size of the church would be drastically reduced, which is the second part of this symbol. When the entire church is under pressure, most people's love will grow. Everyone was persecuted equally, and many nominal Christians, if not all actual Christians, would turn away. Their bond would deteriorate. That is a rather gloomy indication. The good news of Jesus will be taught to every race group, which is the biggest surprise in the third section of the sign. The gospel will be spread as the third component of the symbol. A greater global effect would come from a purified, smaller church. Jesus is suggesting that, in all of this, false prophets may be a source of misinformation. We are aware of the false prophets' doctrines. When there isn't peace, they teach peace instead of posing a threat. They deliver a consoling message. It's okay, they will all say, that it won't happen. Jesus now advises followers to press on and not listen to these false prophets. When that sign appears, which happens when all facets of the church are rejected by the world, whoever endures to the end will be saved. This is the counsel Jesus offers to all Christians. What is the case exactly? The answer is that as they approach full maturity, wheat and tares grow together, and this will create more tension between them. Therefore, it makes sense that Christians will ultimately face a lot of pressure. There would be animosity since Christians are outcasts in society. We do not possess the world. Our place of residence is in the heavenly spheres. We are unique, and it is because of our uniqueness that hate can arise. Since Jesus was so different from everyone else, he drew hate against himself. John 15:19. If you were of the world, it would love you as its own. Instead, the world hates you because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. It's not fun to be despised. Now this video comes to an end. Thank you everyone for watching.